Hi, I'm Ben from Emtron, and today we're here at TRP with Michael Koval, owner of the very famous Koval Evo. Thanks so much for having us, mate. We're going to go into the details and all the secrets that people don't want to know, particularly about, I think this is the most successful roll race car in Sydney roll race history. Does that sound about right?
No, there is one GTR that has, I think we've had 5 victories. The other one has 6. It was an R35.
All right, well, that's a bit of false advertising off the bat, so exceptional. I've got to ask the question, right? So it's got to a power now where things are getting a bit crazy.
Yeah.
You've handed the keys over to Dom. Tell me the decision behind that, the thinking behind that decision.
Well, I guess to actually evolve the car to the next level, you need a next level driver to be able to...
Next level or psychopath? I'm not too sure. Like,
or someone with big kahunas that can handle it.
He's crazy, right? Let's do a little bit, like the car's obviously been covered in videos before. I'll probably go a little bit more into a bit more of the Emtron strategies behind it, because I think, you know, definitely the success of the car probably has a bit to do with the, like the tuners obviously a part, and some of the, I guess more the roll racing and drag racing strategies that we implement in it to keep, well, let's be honest, it makes 1,515 horsepower at the flywheel on a cast block.
Yeah.
Tell me what turbo, what boost levels, what are we doing?
Now we've got the new Precision Next Gen 8085 turbo. Boost, we run probably just a tad over 80 PSI.
We looked at the log, it's actually 81 PSI in the car. And I did hear that on this setup, if you get driven around, we're going triple digits.
Well, the goal is to get it up to 100 PSI if needed, and see what falls off the car next, I guess.
Yeah, well, I saw a flare came off the other day when the thing squatted.
Yeah, first run at the last roll racing, on this power level, it squatted that much, it popped the flare straight off, and
it's pretty incredible. So look, we'll run through. It's a 2.2 litre 4G 63.
Yeah.
Like I just drove it up the street, and to be honest, it still has very street car characteristics. You know, cruising around at 1800 RPM. Sequential obviously is a sequential. So if you're building a street car, what do you say about that?
Keep it stock. Sequential's good. I don't know. It's good for racing. Driving, you wouldn't want it as a daily driver, not a sequential.
It gets a bit full on, but still, you know, look, realistically, the car is still a very nice streetable car for as far as race cars go anyway. Let's go into, I guess we'll talk a bit about what we're actually doing to get that power down to the track, especially in roll racing as opposed to drag racing, where one is from a dig and one's from a roll. So one of the things we have in this car is the Emtron anti-surge valve, typically seen in, you know, your time attack vehicles, things like that, to manage, you know, basically turbo surge. So in your car, where that differs is, especially with the turbo on it now, with a big compressor, we want to maintain a high turbo speed, so that actual wheel is spinning at a speed that we need, so we always have that power available. But in the lower gears, where we don't really have the traction needed, we actually open that anti-surge valve. So what it does, it keeps the torque, well, the manifold pressure that we require for the power level that we need, and then we bleed the excess air out. So the turbo's always staying at that you know, target speed that we want. So then as we go up the gears, we can just immediately close that valve and have the torque required. So basically, like seeing what you do, you typically top end people.
Yeah, the car does have monster top end. I think, speaking of Dom, he actually wants to try to run 190 mile at CUDA this year, and I said, "You're fucking nuts!" Like,
yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, look, I look at the car, and Dom's like, "Hey, let's go for a drive. Let's go up the street." I am always a little bit nervous about that, mainly because there's no roll cage in the car. And what does it weigh?
Man, we haven't weighed it. We've changed so much in the last year, like the rear end and bigger turbos, and everything weighs so much more.
Yeah,
it'll be in the 1200 somewhere. Can't say, we don't know where.
It's a mystery, like all things in drag racing. Going to drag racing, so when we actually are racing from a standstill, I know initially transfer case issues used to plague the car.
Yeah, transfer case or rear diff or tail shaft.
All the breakables.
Whichever one, wears out next.
And what have you done as far as trying to mitigate those breakages?
What have we done? We've bought it's supposed to be the greatest transfer case gear for it, Brenner course.
Yeah.
We bought the front and rear. We ended up breaking the rear one, and we put a GDR rear end in it.
It's a GDR rear end.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
GDR rear end, a lot bigger.
Yep.
It's been working pretty good. Actually drives smoother with the GDR rear end, actually.
Well, it's
maybe that extra weight just tames the car a bit more.
Maybe it does, right?
Yeah.
And so look, a lot of the, I guess, strategies as well when we're talking drag racing, we actually use a calculated vehicle speed channel, which is derived partially from the 3-axis G meter that's on board the KV8 that's in the car. So this car typically will have wheel spin at all 4 wheels, so it's basically impossible to get a vehicle speed from, a drive shaft or tail shaft or something like that. So that's, I guess, a lot of the power in the ECU as well, knowing how much, torque we can produce and put down to the road, how to manage that, and having, in the case of the Emtron, a vehicle speed which is derived from an algorithm which was explained to me, but it's about 4,000 characters long. So that's all you're going to get on that front. So one thing we want to touch on again is, 1500 horsepower, cast block. Really, there's a level of safety in it, precision needs to be in it, and boost control too, obviously. And being from GFB, you want to touch on your full port setup you have here?
Yeah, so we run 2 EX44 wastegates. We fill them with 22-pound spring each, and we just control the boost with a 4-port solenoid.
Just a casual 80 pounder boost, 81 pounder boost.
Yeah, well, hopefully a lot more.
So look, obviously you've got a Samsona's transmission as well.
Yep.
We spoke about the drivetrain breakages, and I think a lot of the strategy and how we keep the drivetrain together at these sort of power levels is how we, obviously do the interrupt for the upshift gear cut on it, and then how we introduce the torque as well. So, we don't want to be like aggressively smashing gears so we have these big spikes in torque. Thanks for that, Dom. Dom, classic. And then how we reintroduce the torque, so to keep the drivetrain from that big shock load and also braking traction and going to wheel spin. This car, I believe, in the roll racing anyway, it's set up almost a torque target per gear. So if we go out and we see, like where we're second or third gear, looks a bit slippery, we actually limit the torque. And the way the ECU will do that, you'll have a maximum degrees of retard you want to have, and then after that we'll move to a cut as well. We can get more advanced and bring throttle in as well, but this car, I believe, is just ignition purely for that. And I'm sure it's, we spoke about the boost levels and how we sort of manage that as well with the air bleed. So, dude, let's talk about the internals of this thing, because I know everyone always talks about alloy rods and the reliability. This car, I mean, it goes round for round like all the time, and I was just a bit amazed then to hear how unfrequently this thing is actually pulled apart.
Yeah, so the last time we actually swapped the rods out was before CUDA last year, which is probably about 12 months ago.
Yep.
And man, we race this car every month, and man, it does laps at roll racing every time. And that's including all your tuning and everything else.
Absolutely, it definitely gets beat on the dyno quite a bit. But so alloy rods, it's definitely a thing where guys like, hey, you can do 20 passes and they come out. This car obviously proves that quite different. I know that when it does get rods switched over, you typically will just take the head off and drop the sump in the car, and that's basically how they're serviced.
Yeah, so the actual block doesn't even leave the car, and we just switch the rods over for a new set, and
and look, quick touch, because we've got the hood open right now. Coil system is M&W with it does have some form of I think a Chrysler coil in this one.
Yeah, I think it's the Chrysler 300C coil with the TRP billet bracket. I think it was an M&W. I think it was a Pro Drag if I remember right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The thing doesn't miss fire.
No, it works.
You did go through a stage
really well.
where everyone used to freak out. You'd be down the top end of the track and lift off and have the big plume of smoke, and I was like, oh no! But that's proven to be, that was almost like your smoke screen to get away, right?
Yeah, that was the old 76mm turbo, just I guess wear and tear on it. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, it still made power, so
yeah, it never missed a beat.
Yeah, so look, it's funny. Like we've definitely spoken about, hey, maybe you should take this car overseas and campaign it throughout America. I know that's definitely been on the cards. I think reliability. The car is it's got it, and I think we're revving this thing to 11,000 RPM as well. So it's I think it's a car that could potentially do quite well over there.
Yeah, I think we just want to have a shot at the record here first.
Yeah.
See, at least we get an indication of how the car is.
What is the record at the moment?
Oh, in Australia?
Yeah. Well, in the world, whatever, right?
Australia's nothing. It's like 8.8. I think we ran an 8.8 as well.
Yeah.
We did it with the old 76. We had to turn the power down on a Wednesday night because there was no prep.
Yep.
And we had bolt tires at the time. So the car was nowhere near its full potential.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it makes a lot more power than from when we did that pass to now. I don't know. I'm guessing if the goal is to at least dip into the 7.
7's pretty damn fast, man.
We should. Like with the mile that we're chasing, it should definitely get into the 7.
What is this thing trapping at? Like when it was last at CUDA, what was it trapping at?
I did 174 with a jumped rocker. So
that's right. I believe you actually did that whole event with missing a rocker, right? That was that was pretty good.
We did a couple changes before the event, and we just put it on the trailer and strapped it up, and we thought everything was good.
Yeah, quite hilarious. So nice to come home and realise, hey, that's why I was down. We
we still won the event.
Congratulations. Was that against GDRs?
Yeah, that was against the GDRs and everything. Wow. So it was, we won the whole drag battle.
Wow, there's a very big, like if you're overseas, Australia has a very big Evo, Lancer versus GDR sort of culture here. And obviously you're very pro Evo. Looking around here, there's Evos, there's GDRs, there's kind of everything here. So this is definitely the battleground. But look, you're definitely doing the right thing for the 4G community out there. And that laugh, you can hear a mile away. And the chop, where did the chop thing come from?
I think it was actually from a video at one of the motive videos.
Arts and Craft or something? Or?
No, like I was racing another Evo that had more power and whatever, and then we raced, and then I won, and then I don't know, it was the excitement afterwards when they in the interview, and then
Man, that laugh, and
it kind of just stuck. Yeah, so no, it's a bit of
it's a bit of banter. I like it. So look, definitely let's look. Obviously, if you want to learn more about Emtron, jump over to www.emtron.world. Look, definitely on the 4G scene in time attack, drag racing, and rally. We have a lot of vehicles out there. So look, definitely keen to get some more Emtron and some 4Gs. Thanks, guys. All right, so for the theatrics of it being a street car, we are literally going to be taking the Koval Evo through drive-through Macca's. All right, do you reckon they're going to be able to hear our order here?
Yeah. What do you want, Ben?
Give me a medium Coke. Alright, so far successful. Now navigating the tightest McDonald's drive-thru, I think, on the planet.
Hey, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, I got it.
It's the cup holders, mate.
Yeah, just cup holders, or just skip out on that.